Good morning, my name is Milagros del Rubio and I am a tenured lecturer in the Department of Applied Linguistics at the Universitat Politécnica de Valencia. In today's video, we are going to have a look at verb patterns. In other words, we are going to be looking at some English verbs which can be followed either by a gerund or ing form and an infinitive. Before we start, I'm going to present the learning objectives of this presentation. In other words, I'm going to tell you what students will be able to do after they watch the verb. Well, students will be able to use the correct verb pattern, either the infinitive or the ing form, after verbs like stop, mean, forget, remember, regret, and try. Students will also be able to discern how the verb patterns can affect the meaning of sentences in English. And they're going to do that especially by looking at the context. Okay, so let's get started. Right, in English, there are many verbs which can be followed by either a gerund or an ing form or an infinitive. Right, just remember that we form the gerund by adding to the base form the ing. So, if we have a verb like jog, we add the ing and we get jogging. So, I like jogging. And just remember that the infinitive form, there are two types of infinitives. We have the infinitive, the bare infinitive, okay, without to, and the infinitive with to. So today we're going to have a look at those verbs which are followed by the to infinitive. So we have the verb, I like to visit the dentist twice a year. So the important thing here is that we talk about a verb pattern when these verbs can be followed by either the gerund or the infinitive form. So this is what we call a verb pattern. The important thing you need to remember is that these verbs in English have a very, very different meaning when they're followed by either the gerund or the infinitive. So what you have to do is just learn them and practice them a lot, and also pay attention to the context. Right, so now we're going to have a look at different verbs and I'm going to explain the different meanings they have. Right, the first verb is like. Okay, so you can use like followed by the ing or gerund when you say things like I like cooking and doing sports, or do you like reading? So in this case, what we are trying to convey, to express, is our interests, our hobbies. And when we say, I like cooking, I like doing sports, we are expressing that we do this for fun, okay? It's a fun activity. However, we can also use like followed by the infinitive, okay? So you can say something like, I like to practice my English every weekend. Okay, so when we follow like, when like is followed by the infinitive, what we are trying to convey is that the action is a good idea. It's something you should do. So it's not that I really have fun practicing my English. It's that I think it's good for me, it's convenient for me to practice my English every weekend. If we say something like, I like to water my plants every other 2 days, the same situation applies. It's not that I really enjoy watering my plants. It's that I think that it's convenient, it's good for them, okay, to be watered every other 2 days. So there is a very important difference in meaning. Now we are going to move on to the next one. Okay, we have the verb stop. Right, when we use stop followed by a gerund form, we are expressing the idea that we need to quit an action, okay? Sometimes we talk about annoying habits, addictions. So basically what we are transmitting is that you should stop doing the action. Let's have a look at the sentences. We have a stop biting your nails. It's so gross. Okay, so this is obviously a bad habit. So you should stop, you should quit this action. Or you can say you should stop watching TV so late at night. Okay, for whatever the reason. So I think you should quit, you should stop the activity. However, stop can also be followed by the infinitive. And it has a slightly different meaning, okay? So we can say something like, I stopped to buy some bread on the way home. Or make sure you stop to grandma, she's got something to tell you. Okay, so when we use the verb stop followed by the infinitive, what we're doing is we're indicating that you should pause, you should interrupt one activity to do a different activity. So you should stop to buy some bread, okay, on the way home. So you stop the car, you get into the supermarket, buy the bread, and then you continue, you go on with your action. Right. The next verb is mean, okay, so when we use mean followed by an ing form, we are expressing the result of the previous action. Let's have a look at the sentences. So studying and working means having less time for yourself. Not leaving on time means getting late to the wedding. Or we mixed the connection, which meant waiting for hours for the next. So you have to think, what will the result be? Okay? And the result is expressed with mean plus the ing form. In contrast, when we use the verb mean followed by the infinitive, the meaning is totally different. Let's have a look at the examples. I've been meaning to tell you about the eviction, but never found the time. Or, I meant to call you, but forgot to do it last night. So when we use mean followed by the infinitive, what we are saying is that, well, I thought about it. I had the intention to tell you, okay, and I had planned to call you, okay, but I forgot to do it last night. Sometimes we use this verb mean plus the infinitive in order to make excuses, okay, so I meant to call you but forgot, I meant to tidy up the room but I didn't have the time, etc. Right, let's move on to the next verb. Now we are going to have a look at two verbs which are forget and remember. Right, so when forget and remember are followed by the ing form, it's like we are looking back on the past. Okay, so we are thinking about our memories, we are digging up our memories. Let's have a look at the examples. I'll never forget meeting my husband. Okay, so it was a great day. I remember running along the beach and I remember bumping into him. Okay, so it's like you go back into the past and you start thinking about what happened, right? You can say, I'll never forget watching my first movie. It was E.T. I remember going to the cinema with my friends and I remember being really, really excited, okay? And the same applies for remember. So you can say, I'll always remember going to my first concert. Or you can say something like, I can't find the keys, but I remember leaving them on the table last night. The important thing is that with all these verbs, you can use them in different verb tenses. But you need to pay attention to the context, because the context will give you the clue as to whether to use the ing form, gerund, or the infinitive. Right, now we're going to see what happens when we use these verbs plus the infinitive. Right, so when we use forget and remember with the infinitive, what we are doing is reminding someone to do something. Or we are checking if they remember to do something. Okay, so you can say, don't forget to buy the bread. So you are telling the person, you are reminding the person, please buy the bread. Or you can use it in the past and say, I didn't forget to pick up the groceries, they're on the table. Okay, so this person remembered to do something that they had to do. And the same applies to remember. Will you remember to stop by the chemist on the way home? Okay, so you are reminding them. Or did you remember to pick up the suit at the dry cleaners? Okay, so did you remember to do something that you had to do? Right. Okay, the next verb is regret. So regret can be followed by the ing form, the gerund, and especially when we talk about something that happened in the past and you are not feeling very happy about it. Okay, so it's like you, in a way, you are sorry you did or didn't do something in the past. So for example, I regret having told Mike a lie. So you told your friend a lie, now you regret it, you feel sorry about it. But there is nothing you can do because the action happened in the past and you can't go back to the past and change it. Or you can also say, have you ever regretted not going to university? Notice that this expression is used in the present perfect. So have you ever regretted not going to university? Meaning, have you ever felt bad or felt sorry that you didn't go to university? However, when we use regret followed by the infinitive, the meaning is totally different. And we use this structure when we want to break bad news when we want to tell news that people don't want to listen to, okay? I regret to inform you that you haven't been selected for the post. Or we regret to announce that the tournament has been cancelled. Okay? Just remember that regret plus the infinitive tend to be used in very formal registers. Okay? Right, and now we're going to move on to the last one. The last verb is try. Okay, so again, we're going to start with the infinitive first, because the use of try plus the gerund is a bit tricky. So when we use try followed by an infinitive, we are using it in its default meaning. Okay, try means make an effort. Okay, make an attempt. So you can say something like, learning how to typewrite is not easy, but I'm trying to do it. So what does this mean? It means you're making an effort. Okay, it's a difficult situation because it's not easy, but you are trying. You are giving it a try. You are attempting to do it. Or you can say something like, stop the noise, I'm trying to concentrate here. Okay, so this would be the use that comes more naturally to students. However, we can also use try followed by the gerund. So when we use try doing, try plus the gerund, it's not about a difficult situation. It's about obtaining a successful outcome. It's about doing something as an experiment, finding if it works. Okay, so we have this sentence in which the speaker says the soup is tasteless. So he might say, I'll try adding some more salt. So it's not especially a difficult situation, but you are just adding more salt as an experiment to see if this works and the soup is better, okay, to improve it. Or you can say, I can't find my costume for the party. I've looked everywhere. But then you say, oh, I'll try looking in the basement, okay? So you are gonna look there to see if finally you can find the costume, okay? So remember, try plus the infinitive, you make an effort, and try plus the gerund is like doing something as an experiment to see if it works, okay? Right. So now you also need to remember that in English there are some verbs which are only followed by one of the patterns. So let's say that they have a fixed pattern. So we have a group of verbs that are always followed by the infinitive, and these verbs are appear, attempt, manage, decide, need, offer, promise, seem, and want. So what you have to do is just learn them by heart and practice them a lot, okay? Because they're always followed by the infinitive. Right, and then there is another group of verbs always followed by a gerund. Those are consider, deny, dislike, enjoy, feel, finish, practice, and suggest. So, to summarize, what you need to do is just remember that in English we have some verbs followed by the ing form, gerund, and some verbs followed by the infinitive, okay? And sometimes some verbs, the group of verbs that we have just seen, can be followed by both, but there is an important change in meaning. Right, so now let's get some practice. Okay, here you have an exercise. You can pause the video, write down your answers, and in the next slide you have the key. So I hope you enjoyed this activity. Right, here comes the key. So anyway, I hope you learned a lot today, and thank you very much for your time.